Did Alton Towers make the right decision bringing back Nemesis as Nemesis Reborn for 2024? Hi, I'm Scott.
I'm Steve.
And you're watching Your Experience Guide, and today we're going to talk about Nemesis Reborn. So, I'm going to throw you straight in at the deep end here, mate. Did they make the right decision bringing Nemesis back?
To be fair, I think they did, because Nemesis is set in a very unique area of the land where they've actually dug down into it. Probably cost more than the ride nearly to build that pit that Nemesis sits into. So putting another ride in that space to be as good as Nemesis, I think would prove quite difficult. So in my eyes, yes. Is it a tough decision for them? I think it probably was, because a new ride is far easier to market and sell and bring people in than an old ride. But I think they did a fantastic job. What do you think of the retheme?
I think it works. I mean, I think we'd gone past the whole it's rusting, it looks tired, and I always have the controversial opinion that I don't actually think Nemesis was that well themed. I think the story of it was good, and I think that the way they built it into the ground and the way they'd themed the sort of the track and the station on the outside was good. But when you got in the station, you were basically in a tin can or like a warehouse. It was just, there was no theming. You had the audio, but now the station's better themed. You've got the eye, you've got the smoke effects, you've got the new soundtrack, and I think it actually looks better than it ever did. The only thing I don't like is the red on the track. That's the only thing I don't like about the retheme.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm all for it.
See, I kind of hated the red on the track, the tentacles, if you will, on the track at first. And then when I actually got there and saw it finished and all the way around, I was like, you know what, that's not too bad at a distance and it looks all right. But when you're close up to it, I think it looks a little bit, I don't know what the word is. It's like a graffiti artist almost when you're up close. But when you look at a distance, it doesn't look too bad. So I'm kind of on the wall with it. Do I think it's going to last? Well, that's another question.
That's the thing. That's always been my concern with it. Just knowing the way that paint can fade over the time. It's like, how much did they spend on that paint job? If they spent a lot of money on it and they went to the best in class, it will probably last for a good 10 years. But if it's like not really been done by the best people, I think in 5 years' time it's going to be a very faded looking black and red track, and I think it will look terrible.
I'll be honest, I think when it comes to that point, they'll probably just repaint it solid black.
I'm all for it.
To get people up there to put them details in is going to be very difficult. Yeah. You're not going to put an artist and have them suspended going around a roller coaster, essentially. So they'll be there with rollers and just literally paint it. So, I can see that going. But I think down the line, I think that's probably the way they'll go with it.
From a theming point of view, I think it's considerably better themed than it ever was, and I love the way they marketed it. I think they've done a great job, even going back to 2022 at the fireworks with the phalanx and the CEO and the spokesperson, and the fact that they had proper actors in to do that, and they really built a story and a narrative, and they hooked us all in, and it really worked, and that's why we all queued 6 or 7 hours on opening day, because we just wanted to be part of the story, and it was good to be part of it, because I really regretted not being there on its last day. So I was like, I have to be there for the opening. Yeah,
I was there on the last day, and it was quite a unique experience, because after the fireworks, we all went down into Forbidden Valley, and he had all the phalanx people around with like kind of the actors we've got now, and people walking around with mysterious items and things, and it was really good. And I actually got a wristband. I've still got it, to be fair, of I think they were going to do something for like the year after, so when it reopened, you could do something with the wristband, but I don't know if that happened or not. I didn't hear it back. But yeah, it was good. And I think one thing I've noticed with Alton Towers recently, when they build a new roller coaster, they seem to have like a central point of like theming. Yeah. So like on the Smile, you've got like the Marmalizer machine, and then on Wickerman, you've got they call him Bob in the middle there with his fiery shoulders. And then with Nemesis now, you have obviously the Eye, which people kind of gather around and watch it, which is it's quite well sequenced with the ride as well. I was quite impressed with how well animated it is, and it seems to have lasted up quite well as well. So I think it's good.
I've not seen any Windows XP errors on it yet.
No, not.
I know we're not going to see Windows XP, but I always remember when you used to go on a certain water ride in this country where I won't name it, but when you went up the lift hill, you used to see a Windows XP fault. But yeah, I think they did a great job with the theming. I think they did a great job with the story. I think they did a great job with the marketing. But is the ride any good?
I think that the ride is still good, but they've done something to it. I don't really know what it is, but it doesn't quite ride exactly the same. Now, I'm not too fussed. I still enjoy Nemesis. I think the ride experience is all right, but there is a peculiar rattle on it nowadays compared to what it used to have, and I didn't really notice it. One train was worse than the other when it first opened, but now both seem to be about equal with the rattle. I haven't really found anywhere that's better or worse now. Every seat seems to pretty much have it. Now, do I think it ruins the experience? For me, no.
No.
But I think some people maybe say it's a little bit worse than it actually is. It's not that bad. But this isn't just a Nemesis problem. This is a new B&M problem.
Yeah, there was, I think it's Iron Menace at Dorney Park.
Mandrill.
Yeah, exactly. That's got a right bounce on it. Yeah. But I think Iron Menace, I think that's what it's called. Dorney Park opened this year, and everyone was like, yes, brand new dive coaster. And then the rider cams, there was like an awful jolt in it. But I believe Penguin Trek as well at SeaWorld, we'll find out this week when we're there. Yeah. But I believe that's got a bit of roughness. And it's like, how? Yeah. How's that rough? So I didn't think much of Phoenix Rising, Busch Gardens either. I thought that was pretty dull.
My view on that ride is unfortunately a little bit tainted because I was having such an awful day that I was in a bad mood when I... Don't watch the rider cam. You see me just trying to look away from the camera because I was in a furious mood.
Absolutely fuming. It was hilarious. If you've not seen that vlog, I'll link it at the top. Please check it out. It was just amusing. But going back to the ride of Nemesis Reborn, I've seen a lot of comments saying it's rough. I don't think it's rough. I think it's a lot smoother than it was when the old Nemesis closed. For example, when you go through the 0G roll, you don't feel like you've just been boxed by Anthony Joshua now. It's very gracious over there. I don't think it's a rough roller coaster, but that rattling noise is annoying because you could just hear it the whole way. It's almost like when, I don't know if you've ever driven a Ford, but they used to have this thing underneath them called the mud shield, and they used to come loose, and you used to hear them like juddering as you were driving.
My KA.
Not me having a go at Ford. It just everyone who had one. It happened to Becca at one point on her Fiesta, and you used to be driving along and you just say judder, 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 and that's what Nemesis is like riding. It's almost like it sounds like one of the wooden coasters you build on Planet Coaster that just has that weird juddery noise, and I don't know how that's possible, and I feel like they need to fix it.
Well, the seats and everything are the same as the old Nemesis, but the top half is essentially new.
Is it?
So the I believe like the wheel assemblies and they've added magnetic brakes onto the chassis, if you will, on the top part, and the seats like bolted on underneath. So I believe the seats are all the same, but the top half is new on there, and I think it's something to do with the design of that's causing it with the redesign of how. The alterations for the magnetic brakes that have taken place at the end of the ride, as you probably noticed, it seems to come in and go quite slow now through compared to how it used to, because magnetic brakes, if they're permanently fixed, you can't really tell it that, oh, that's an empty train, or that's a full train, that's a light train. It'll just brake it and slow it down to a walking pace no matter what. So
what I will say is, I think it's great that they've got it back. But I do remember in 2022 getting a lot of stick on Twitter when I was saying it was walk on, it never had a queue, and everyone was like, oh, well, it's just because it's got good throughputs. It'll be different when they've rebuilt it and the new Nemesis is back. And now we've got over the initial hype. We're back to where we were. It's always got a quiet queue, unless it's on one train.
It has one of the lower queues on Park, doesn't it, usually, when it's on two trains. And I don't think Towers purposely try and run it on one train.
No.
It just, I think some people have been a bit... OTT with that, saying why are they choosing to run it on one train during the busiest period? That is not a choice any theme park operator would make. No. I have kind of, it's just unfortunate timing is probably the best way to put it, and they don't have a third to put on, so if one needs to go into the workshop for a week or two, which I think it did, I think it back on 2, I believe now, so
You'd hope so for the fireworks.
Oh, you're going to need it this weekend, aren't you?
Yeah, say at the time of filming it is literally just before the season ends. So you'd hope on fireworks weekend it'd have been on too. I think I've not seen any complaints on socials yet. So, but today at the time of filming is Saturday. Yeah. Appreciate the time of upload it's Thursday. But yeah, you would hope today. Well, I'm certain when we go on social media in a bit, if it's on one train, we'll see all about it.
Yeah.
But I think they made the correct decision. Mm-hmm. I think the marketing's great. I think the theming's great. The ride itself is really enjoyable. It's great to have a quality coaster back like that in the UK. Was it the right decision commercially? I don't know. I don't know without seeing the figures.
I'm going to say yes.
You do?
Well, any ride that opens with a 5-hour queue on opening day is probably a success.
True.
And to be fair, it has been consistent in having much higher queues than it had before it closed. Like, even though there's still some of the shorter queues on Park, it's still regularly 45 to 50 minutes for Nemesis.
Is it?
Well, not during the week, but on weekends. I've seen it up there quite a lot. But it has died down. There are times where it does dip down to 20, 15. Yeah. But to be fair, it's a 15-minute walk to it, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. That was one thing I forgot to mention, is that I don't like the new route round the queue, because when it's quiet, they need to think about using the old queue, I think, because when it is walk on, and I have had a few days in the midweek where we've not vlogged it and we've just gone and had a few rides on it, and it has been walk on, and it's like, this is some trek getting round here every time. I know that they're not designed for people to just lap them all day, but that's a big walk.
I see what they were trying to do, because it's made it a lot more immersive for the guests. So if you only go once a year and walk around that queue, you get a much better experience of seeing the ride and what's going on with all the stuff that's kind of in the queue line, the track coming out the ground.
I do like the bit where you go past the vertical loop. I think that's a great bit of. I think whoever thought of putting the queue there did it perfectly, because the fact you can just see the whole ride. I think that part of it I'm fine with. It's just that first bit just takes forever, and the up and down.
I think they kind of adjust it to be a little bit shorter, but I think every time I've been, they've kind of had it on full racks, and it is quite a hike on full racks. But there again, we only queued when we on opening day. We only queued about maybe 45 minutes from the entrance that day, I would.
Yeah, something like that.
I think it was the biggest was getting to the queue. And once we got to the queue, it seemed to go pretty quick. I think we did the right thing, though, because we wanted to see the overall experience of people taking their first ride. Yeah. And if we joined the queue like everyone else was doing, we wouldn't have had that. So I'm glad we did it the way we did.
We also got the interactions with the phalanx as well. Yeah. So I think that was good. So all in all, I think they made the right decision. From a fan point of view. Whether it was the right decision commercially, I don't know. Only the figures will tell us over the next few years. I don't think they'll make the same decision with Galactica and Oblivion when they come to their retracking or removal sequences, let's say. But yeah, I think that they made the right decision all in all. But I'm going to put you on the spot now and ask you a couple of questions. The main one is it rough?
I don't think it's rough. I wouldn't call it rough. Rough is Grand National. There's definitely rough coasters out there, and Nemesis is not one of them. I kind of judge it on, would I be able to ride it all day? And I would be able to ride Nemesis all day. But people say the big one's rough, and I know it is rough in places, but I could ride that all day. And then you go to let's say the Grand National, for instance. Could I ride that all day? I used to be able to. But I definitely wouldn't be able to ride it at the moment. But I'm hoping that it gets a bit of love this winter, and hopefully we'll see some of the roughness kind of taken out of it.
So the next question is it better than the original?
It's one of these. If it's the ride system you're talking about, then to me it's pretty much the same as what it was before, which is what they aimed for, and I think they did a great job. I think that the theming that they've added to it has enhanced the ride overall. Agreed. And they kind of added on to the story a bit more as well. So I do think that overall it's better than its previous form, but it is. I think that there are things that could have been done a little bit better, but it's like anything. There's always room for improvement in these things, but I do think overall it is a better than the previous form of Nemesis.
That's fair enough. So just going to wrap this up by saying hopefully for 2025 they can sort out that vibrating noise and just keep doing what they're doing, because all in all it has been great to get back on Nemesis in 2024, and I look forward to going on it on opening day 2025 without the 6-hour queue, hopefully.
Yeah, I think everyone will be somewhere else, I reckon.
Yeah.
I think that everyone will be still in the Valley Day.
So that's all from us today. If you have enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, so a little thumbs up below. And please comment, have you enjoyed the new Nemesis in 2024? Many thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.